Hi, my name is Joe Jackson. I'm a journalist, author, interviewer, and broadcaster. And a working class hero is something to be. Said who? Me, a moment ago. I'm joking. Actually, for those who may not know it, that line comes from John Lennon's 1970 song, Working Class Hero. But is a working class hero something to be? That's just one of the subjects Noel Gallagher and I discussed during an interview we did in Dublin when Oasis were playing gigs here in 1996. At some point, I'll upload the entire interview as a podcast and onto YouTube. But in the meantime, as part of what I call my series of podcast singles, in other words, podcasts that last less than 5 minutes, let me share with you the section of the interview during which Noel and I talked about whether or not we working class people feel we have the right to describe ourselves as artists, whether, like me, you are simply a writer of articles or books, or whether, like Noel Gallagher, you're a writer of songs. By the way, if you want to read the interview I did with Noel Gallagher and countless other rock stars, including Blur, check out my website, joejacksoninterviewer.com.
I was on the dole, I used to get £17 a fortnight and all that fucking stuff. And there's days where it's like I've got all this, so and literally you'd be walking up, you'd be like fucking, take it, I don't want it, And then there's other days you think, well, fuck it, man, I work for what I've got.
But you don't feel guilty about having what you have. This is what I find a peculiar trait of either Catholicism or religion. It's like you're supposed to be a pauper, you're supposed to go through the valley of hell, you're supposed to bleed and suffer. You know all that shit?
Yeah.
And to live the other way, you get a guilt complex.
Yeah.
Or women with sex, or men with sex.
Yeah. Well, it's catch-22, isn't it? You just got to deal with it in your own way. Some day, you have, like I say, I have days where it's like,
all right, do
I deserve all this? And then sometimes I think, to bought £1 million house, £1 million house. I was in the dole 3 years ago. I'm like, I'm going, it's cost me £1 million, and then thinking there's some kids on the streets, and then you think, well, fucking hell, hang on a minute, why shouldn't I? You know what I mean? All I can give is my, I'm an artist. I was born an artist.
Right.
I write music. I give people pleasure, and they give me the money. I mean, what can I say? That's fucking life, man.
Do you have any problem using the word like artist? I mean, I know a lot of working class people who shy away from concepts like that.
No, I'm an artist.
Yeah,
I'm an artist.
Did you always perceive that about yourself from the first song you wrote?
Well, music is an art form, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, but and I know not everybody accepts that. No,
it's only now. I could say I'm an artist.
Okay, and it doesn't sound po-faced.
No, but I mean, it's only now I can call myself a writer.
All right.
People think that writers are people who write books, but I mean, I write. So I'm a writer of music and words. So I might, people might, I might not be a very good writer. That's people's opinions, but I am. But
was it people like him who empowered you? You know what I mean? Gave you the faith. You come from a background where we're all told you really aren't. I was a tradesman, I was a metaler, and you're told you couldn't do creative stuff.
Yeah.
So you need somebody like Lennon or that to move in and say you fucking can.
Well, that is why this band is so important, because kids will look at us and go, fucking, well, look at them, man. Look at them. They came from fuck all, and look at them. They've like gone and conquered the world, and they're not kissing anybody's ass. They're just being themselves, and they're just fucking kids. And if they can do it, then I'm going to have a fucking good go at doing it. And if I call myself an artist, then some kid who's now starting off will say, I am an artist. If he's one, I'm one. And it gives them a chance.
Sure.
And then if somebody comes out of what we've done, if somebody comes, if I'm the next in line to John Lennon, then the next in line to me it will be more important to the next in line to them.
Yeah.
Because then we'll take, the working class will take something, because in working class society, we're not allowed to be artists. We've got to be labourers or fucking footballers or drug dealers. Yeah. But if somebody comes after me and then after them, because we'll take art back for ourselves, man, and we're the greatest artists.
But isn't that the real victory? Not people saying your songs are this, that, and the other, but the fact that you're having that social effect by choice or by accident. So. You know what I mean?
So. Hi, Joe Jackson here again. I thank you for listening to this edition of the Joe Jackson Interviews podcast. And don't forget, if you want to read my interviews with Noel Gallagher and others, check out my website, joejacksoninterviewer.com.